Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are here today, truthfully, to right a wrong, and it's come full circle. If we go back to the Civil War, there was a nurse turned social worker named Dorothea Dixon who discovered that there were people with mental illness being kept in the jails throughout America. She made it her mission to get people into almshouses and hospitals. And she did a very good job, and that's where people were treated humanely rather than in jails. And as we know, unfortunately, over the years, those hospitals became institutions where many bad things happened. And then, as I recall, when I was in grad school, someone decided, let's just open the doors and let everybody out. They shouldn't be in here. We're going to deinstitutionalize people. They don't need that. But unfortunately, the federal government, the state government did not make sure that we had the resources out there when those people left those jails. And many, many people have struggled. And there has been no place to help them. And so, full circle, they are back in our jails. And although we'd like the state and the federal government to help us, it's taking them a while to come up with a plan. So Bucks County has decided that we are going to take this on our own, and we are going to solve this problem. So we're here today to tell you a little bit about this story, and I will start with Commissioner Harvey, who is chairman of our board during a time when we are breaking ground on this very important project.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody who's had a hand in making this a reality. You can see the rendering of what is going to be the Diversion, Assessment, Restoration, and Treatment Center for Bucks County. I especially want to thank my fellow Commissioner, Dimer Segley. This is something that she has been working toward since she was first elected in 2007. Her background as a social worker has taught her the real importance of having true treatment for people who struggle with mental illness. And she knows, as well as all of us, that the place for those people who are struggling is not a prison. Because there, it's too difficult to give them the services they need. It's not established for that purpose. And you'll hear that later on from our Director of Corrections, who has been working on this issue here in our prison and knows it firsthand. But we're really excited to be breaking ground today on this. We think this is a fantastic addition to what this county offers its residents already. And with this, we're helping our most vulnerable, helping people who truly need it and who for too long have been forgotten. And so I'm proud to be here, and I'll turn over now to Commissioner Jean DiGirolamo.
Thank you, Bob and Diane. And first, Diane, as Bob has just said, this has been kind of like a dream of yours for a long, long time. And I just want to say congratulations for keeping up the fight on this just absolutely terrible disease of mental health. And it affects almost every family. I mean, I see people out there shaking their heads. I mean, almost every family sooner or later is going to struggle with a loved one who has a mental health issue. I know I have with my family. And with this facility going up, I have a hard time. The Diversion, Assessment, Restoration, and Treatment Center for Bucks County, with this facility going up, would mean that if this was there when my family member was struggling, she wouldn't have ended up over there. She would have ended up over here. And even though she's doing very, very well right now, I mean, it would have made a big difference in her life. I just read an article yesterday on the national level in a national news publication, something about what President Biden has just done. And it comes to the issue of federal parity when it comes to mental health and also drug and alcohol as well. And he issued like a 300-page report that looks to force insurance companies under federal parity to pay for mental health treatment and drug and alcohol treatment, and not try to escape and not pay for the treatment that's out there if people have insurance. And the insurance companies have been escaping, not only here in Pennsylvania, but across the country. So I'm glad to see the federal government at least starting to try to enforce that parity for drug and alcohol and mental health. It'll stop a lot of people maybe from even reaching here unless over there. So it's important. It's a big issue. It's an important issue for struggling families, not only here in Bucks County, but around the state of Pennsylvania. So I want to I know there's a lot of people that are sitting out there. I don't want to mention any names, but thank you for all the good work that you've done in helping make this a reality. And all right, I'm looking forward to breaking the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will say that Gene DiGirolamo was one of those state officials who did try to work on this program while you were there, and thank you. I'm glad you're here to be able to see us do something now. I'd next like to introduce our Diversity and Project Officer. That's Bernard Griggs, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how DART, the Diversity Assessment, Restoration, and Treatment Center, came to be and will come to be.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. I am honored to stand before you today here as the Project Director for the Diversity Assessment, Restoration, and Treatment Center, also known as the DART Center. On behalf of the county and in collaboration with the General Services Department, we are embarking on a groundbreaking journey that marks a significant step forward in our commitment to bettering our community. I am thrilled to acknowledge the exceptional team that will bring this vision to life. Together, with the county team, our construction manager, Joseph Gigoli & Sons, lead professional consultant, USA Architects, the expertise of Carroll Engineering Corporation for civil, geotechnical, and structural engineering, as well as Windward Engineering for mechanical, electrical, and piping engineering. We have an incredible group of partners driving this project forward. Magnum Incorporated, our general construction contractor, will play a crucial role in ensuring the successful execution of our plans. The new 23,000 square foot DART facility will stand right here on the former site of the Women's Community Correctional Center that was demolished earlier this year to make way for this project. And the building design is a one-story slab-on-grade building with an A-frame roof, as you see here in the rendering, that promises not only functionality but also architectural excellence. The exterior will feature a blend of stone veneer, cementitious siding, topped with asphalt roof shingles, providing a welcoming and secure environment for all. Internally, the DART Center will boast the commercial and institutional finishes meticulously tailored to meet the operational specifications of this vital facility. We are committed to creating an environment that promotes healing, rehabilitation, and positive transformation for those who will benefit from our services. As we eagerly anticipate the transformation of this space, I am delighted to share with you the final completion for this project is targeted to be achieved within 485 calendar days from notice to proceed. This milestone will be reached as soon as the construction contractors receive the green light to begin construction in the next few weeks. Today marks the beginning of a special project that will have a lasting impact on our community, promoting positive change and hope for a better future. Together, we are embarking on this journey towards progress and compassion, and I am confident that the DART Center will be a beacon of light and transformation in our community. Thank you to all for joining us on this remarkable occasion.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce our Director of Mental Health and Developmental Programs, Donna Duffy. And although I may have always wanted this project really is Donna's baby, and she has taken care of it and is making sure that we have the right kind of program for Bucks County. And I really believe part of that is because she knows while it will serve adults, it will be serving the children of Bucks County in essence, and that's why she's taken such good care of it. Donna?
Thank you, Commissioner. I know the commissioners and Bernard have expressed appreciation to a number of stakeholders, but I did also want to specifically call out a few other individuals. First is John Hogan from the GEO Group. John is the Pennsylvania area manager for the GEO Group here today. GEO will be providing the services once the center is actually opened. I also wanted to acknowledge some staff within my own department who Without their input and their expertise and their funding, this project would not be coming to fruition. So first is Ray McManaman, who is our forensic coordinator. Ray has been boots on the ground since the beginning of this project was first conceptualized back in 2016. I'd also like, she was not able to be here today, but Cindy Griezak, who is our Senior Director of our Managed Care Unit in the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Programs. Cindy was able to identify a significant portion of the construction funding for this project, such that through our Health Choices, which is a medical assistance program, that those monies do not have any county match. So it has enabled us with other sources of federal and state funding. For example, we have a congressionally directed HRSA grant through Representative Fitzpatrick's office, and we also have American Rescue Plan Act funds that will also be incorporated into our construction funding. So we've really been able to pull off the construction of this facility without having to use county taxpayer dollars, which I think is phenomenal in this day and age. And then finally, I'd like to recognize the commissioners, and Margie McKevitt, our Chief Operating Officer, as well as the Director of the Division of Human Services, Rachel Neff. There just has been such ongoing support from so many stakeholders. It touches my heart to be able to finally bring this to fruition. So as the commissioners mentioned, the individuals, the adults who will be served by this center are individuals who have both mental illness and are involved with the criminal justice system. So I'm sure Dave Kratz, our Director of Corrections, is going to speak about diversion from incarceration, but really any individual who has contact at any level with the criminal justice system and has a mental illness would be eligible to receive services out of this center. So it could be somebody who is involved with law enforcement at some level. It could be somebody that is able to be given bail by a magisterial district justice, and instead of being incarcerated is given bail and released to this center. It could be somebody in pre-trial, so doing pre-trial diversion, or it could be somebody on probation or parole. So there are many places in the criminal justice system that an individual can interface, and we are looking at all those points of contact to utilize this center to actually provide active treatment and restoration to competency and rehabilitative supports to get individuals successfully back into the community. Bernard mentioned, it's 23,000 square feet. We will have a capacity at any given time for 28 adults, and that is spread over 3 different units in the center. There is a short-term observation center. Again, I spoke about magisterial district justices needing a safe place immediately for somebody to be able to access safety and mental health supports. And so that short-term observation unit, we're expecting the length of stay there to be about up to 2 weeks, just till we can get the individual connected to services. And as I said, give them a safe place for assessment and support. The next unit is a restoration to competency unit. So individuals, as they proceed through the legal system, can be deemed incompetent to stand trial, which means that their due process ceases until they are able to be restored to competency. And so instead of, having to refer everyone to Norristown State Hospital and Forensic Center for restoration to competency, we are hoping to do that within this center ourselves. And then thirdly, there will be a residential treatment facility component that will be about 9 to 12 months lengths of stay, where an individual not only receives mental health and co-occurring substance use treatment, but also receives daily living skill development, so that when the person is then able to move into the community, to re-enter the community fully, and maximize success in the community. There will be a robust staffing complement, so there will be 24/7 staffing in addition to, psychiatry, nursing, therapy, again, all the rehabilitative supports. So 2 of the units within the center will be secure units, as mentioned previously. I did want to finally say that, there's no magic bullet for everyone. But as Commissioner Marseglia and others noted, this will be one more option for us that fleshes out our community infrastructure so that we do not have to send people to higher levels of more expensive care and/or institutions like state hospitals and incarceration. So we are also, folks may have heard, planning another project on the grounds of Doylestown Health, which will be for both adults and children. That will be a crisis walk-in center and stabilization unit. So we're hoping that this center, and then in combination with that second project, that we really will have built our community infrastructure out to mitigate some of these things we see in our community that are just, from a social justice perspective and a human perspective, just not acceptable. Individuals sitting in emergency departments waiting to get somewhere, individuals, just put in jail because that's the option, that can't say no. These are not appropriate places or humane places for the treatment of mental illness. So again, very excited for all the work that has been done over the last several years to really hear what the community has to say about things that are not working and to really take steps to do something about it. So thank you.
And finally, I would like to introduce our Director of Corrections, Dave Kratz. I said in the beginning that things have gone full circle, and I believe Dave may have started his career out in mental health, and here we are having him speak on an issue related to mental health. I want to thank him for the kindness and humane treatment he has provided to people in our jail who struggle with serious and persistent mental illness, and we're glad to be able to offer you this resource now. Dave?
Thank you. It's great to go last because pretty much everybody covered everything that I would have to say. But I will say this, jail is not a place for mentally ill folks. And the folks that we get in, as Donna said, we're the last stop and we can't say no. These are not generally higher level criminals. These are lower level criminals. They're maybe a nuisance in the community. The resources aren't there. The police officers have tried and tried and tried. The co-responders are out there. You do end up in jail, and jail is not designed to deal with mental illness. We have some great programming, and we have a great team of mental health folks, but it's really not the place to get better and get treatment. So this is going to be an amazing tool for us to have less folks coming in and be diverted, folks that shouldn't be there, get them back in the community where they belong, hopefully not have that criminal record follow them around so that they can re-engage in society and have a second chance. But we're very excited. We're asking so much of our people behind the walls, our officers, our social workers and medical professionals. And, when I started in this business, corrections 2 decades ago, it was 1 or 2. Right now, our mental health census is through the roof. We have literally 100 people plus who have some type of mental illness that they're being treated for behind the walls. And, as far as getting folks back on medications, often over 200 folks are taking medications to get back to where they need to be if they've had a slip up in the community. So, again, we're looking forward to it. This makes sense from a social standpoint. It makes sense from a fiscal standpoint. Jail is not a cheap alternative. So anybody that we can keep out of jail and anybody that we can take from jail and get them back in the community, it's just a win for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And so we will take questions in a minute, but I'm just happy to say that this program, along with our successful co-responder program, as well as drug court and mental health court and the hub, have all been designed to make sure that we are really meeting the needs of our citizens and doing it in a way that is financially respectful to our citizens. So, questions, and anybody want to come up? No questions?
Do you have any statistics as to how many people that this facility will serve in a year's time?
Donna, you have to use them.
Well, as I mentioned, at any given time, we can serve 28 individuals. So if we look at the different lengths of stay, I could try and do the math here. But with like the 9 to 12 months in our residential treatment facility, that's 16 beds of the 28 capacity. So I would say we should bank on a year for that length of stay. So that would be 16 individuals there. And then our restoration to competency will probably take up to 6 months. That is 4 beds, so that would be an additional 8 individuals there. So now we're up to 24, if I'm doing my math correctly. And then there's the short-term observation unit, which will be very difficult to assess the volume on that, but that will be 8 beds. So that really may add, I don't know, another 25 people, maybe another 25 or more people. So again, difficult to project, but I would say, maybe 50 to 75. Because not everybody's going to flow through all the different units either. Some will come to short-term observation and just get connected elsewhere. Some will be restored to competency, and then they proceed with their legal due process. And so, whatever happens as a result of that due process. And then, as I said, the individuals who will be staying longer than 9 to 12 months. So I'm going to ballpark it at about 50.
Any other questions? Yeah.
So how many other counties in Pennsylvania or even in the region have a similar program to this? And long-term, what's the funding? Is there a new line of state funding that the county can get to keep this running and sustainable?
I'm actually not aware of anybody that's doing this particular model with this particular configuration of units. I will say that Montgomery County has been in contact with us, and so, if at any given time we were not at full capacity, Montgomery County, I have said, can have access to, 2 beds. They are primarily interested in our residential treatment facility component, not the other components. In terms of long-term sustainability, that's always the big issue, right? And so ongoing operations at this point are going to be supported through the Human Services Block Grant, which comes to us through the state, and we get a mental health base allocation. So we will be using that funding. And also the residential treatment facility unit will be licensed, and Magellan Behavioral Health for individuals who have medical assistance health choices, they will pay for that individual's stay, so to speak, in the residential treatment facility. So we'll have a braiding of funds, primarily between county mental health base dollars, through the Human Services Block Grant, and through Magellan Behavioral Health.
And just one quick follow-up. How did you guys determine this was the right number for facilities like this?
Well, we did visit some restoration to competency units in the area. and we looked at what their utilization was like. Back in 2016, we also did what's called sequential intercept mapping, which looks at individuals at all different places where they can interface with the criminal justice system. And we looked at our other resources that we have available, and we felt that this was a good estimate in terms of expected volume and what we could reasonably do. There are other residential treatment facilities for adults, not necessarily for the criminal justice population, but for the mental illness population, and those do tend to be around 16 people. And we have other residential treatment facilities that we do utilize, and we felt like 16 beds, especially with Montgomery County being a potential partner, that was also a good number for us to go with initially.
And I guess the Montco, if they were to utilize it, it would kind of be like with counties and prisons, like they would pay a fee.
They'd pay the rate, yeah. When we determine the rates, they would pay the rate on the beds that they were using. Yeah, Bucks would not be funding those beds then at that time. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
And we also looked, in terms, of course I can always keep going on. We also did look at like the gender mix as well in terms of, prison population, individuals with mental illness in the prison, for folks who might be re-entering to this center, and just other forensic programs we have. For example, we did have an RTFA that was primarily for individuals with forensic involvement. That was a regional project on the grounds of Norristown State. That program has since gone away because Norristown Borough sold the property. But at any rate, it's about 3 to 1 with males to females as well. So we did design the structure with that percentage in mind. It seems to be a good percentage that holds across different services.